Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another stream. Today, we're going to be doing a VFX stream where we're going to create a sci-fi blaster. Now, I got my audio playing down here. I just want to check to make sure my audio is good because last time I think I went for like 15-20 minutes where the music was way too freaking loud. So let's just... Well, and my voice cracked when I did that, but here we go. Hey, Ben, how you doing? Good morning. You have a few errands to run. We'll stop by to check on the stream first. Awesome. And make sure the audio is working this time, right? Make sure we're all good with that. But, guys, we are gonna get right into the stream. I started a few minutes early today just to make sure that we could get into this, get good, and create some cool visual effects. So today I wanted to make a sci-fi blaster. And with that is going to come some work. So here is the visual effects plate that we will be working off of. Just her shooting her little blaster thing. You can grab all of these visual effects plates, by the way, over on Action VFX's website. The link to that is in the description. If you go to the live stream and then you scroll down, you can see the Get the Assets button. This will take you to all the assets that I'm using today, but also the actual plate that we will be using as well. So if you want to go grab that, this is free, and then you could purchase some other assets to use with it. I guess, of course, otherwise you could have your own assets. But yeah, that's the link in the description. I created this little wish list with today's date on it for us to do. So yeah, so without a further ado, let's jump right on in. I think the first thing we're going to do is analyze this shot and take a look at it and say, okay, what about this are we going to be adding in here? This tends to be more of a creative shot, so what will we be doing to it? I was thinking having the blaster kind of light up specifically on the inside of the circle here as if it's creating light as it's coming out, and then it blasts. It has like this little one frame, maybe preemptive glow to it, and then that's going to create a blast shot. And then from that, we can use some of our blaster stuff that we have here. I was thinking we would use one of these blaster flying effects that they have on this website. And we can go ahead and grab one of those. I think one that's moving a little more towards the camera should work for us. Let's see. Blaster close, 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 close. Blaster wides, wides, towards. There we go. And then we'll just create our own speed adjustment to that speed ramp that we want to have. And then we can comp in some sparks. I'm thinking some sparks might be fun. But yeah, so first things first, let's look at this right here. We're going to want to do a few things. First of which is probably on frame 218 or let's say 219. Let's see, 220. 220 makes the most sense. Let's take frame 220 and we're going to export this frame as a still. And I'm thinking the best way for us to do this is take this into Blender, create like a cylinder topology that we can use. Actually, I want to try something new here, guys. We're going to try something new. We're going to do this all inside of good old Nuke. Okay, we're going to use a cylinder. I actually don't know too much about the tools with inside of Nuke, so maybe this isn't the best idea because I need to create some thickness here. Yeah, let's not do this. I'll look into this and maybe we'll test this out, test the waters later. I don't like testing things on this live stream because I really don't have that much time to goof around. But let's see. We're gonna output. Let's create a new folder here called material. And I'm going to create a reference image, and we will put down the frame number of what we're going to be using this reference image as. I'll just use a PNG file for now. 8-bit's totally fine. And actually, you know what? Instead of doing a PNG, we'll just import it into Blender as our plate. So we know that frame 1020 is a blast shot, so let's use a sticky note, and I'm just gonna say 1020 1020, and let's see when our next explosion is gonna be. She turns her gun and then right there, 1039 Let's say 1039 is our next one. And I'm just writing these down for reference later. We can always just view this sticky note when that happens. I'm going to delete this right node because we don't need it. Let's open up Blender, and we're going to create ourselves that 3D kind of projection material that the glow is going to be happening off of. And we're going to use the EXR file from this scene to light everything. So yeah, let's delete that. Let's delete that. I'm going to set this to front camera view real quick. And we're just going to create a new cylinder. We know that the render settings in this is 2048 by 1080. And we could see that actually just by looking into our Nuke comp. Now the barrel, this is the most important part, because the only reason I'm using Blender is because I don't know how Nuke's modeling system works. So we'll have to mess around with that a little bit more. But we're just going to create this barrel that we would see on the camera. And then I'm going to select our camera here. We'll be in cycles for sure. Let's go ahead and add in a background image to our current camera view here. I'm even thinking instead of a background image, let's go ahead and add image as planes. This I find is color accurate, tends to be a little bit more color accurate. I don't know why. There's just like a weird difference between the two. But yeah, let's go to today's folder, and I'm going to go to the VFX plates folder, and we know, because we wrote this down, that we will be needing frame 1020 as our first example frame. So I'm going to go ahead and find frame 1020. And I'm just going to load that in there. Now, from our camera view, we want this guy to be behind, of course, because he's going to be the reflective surface of what's going on in the environment. We're just going to go ahead and scale that guy up. I'm going to subdivide him a bunch of times. I find this works a little bit better. And if I go from the camera view and say project from view, it's only going to do it from the camera's perspective of that. So I'm going to make sure that it's scaled bigger than the camera here. And then if we do project from view, now if we go to material view or render view, either way, should be able to notice that our camera is lined up. And it should create a, yeah, exactly. So that works great. The lighting is still kind of wacky, so we're going to go ahead and fix that here in a moment. I'm going to save this, of course. Create a scripts folder, but actually we're not saving in scripts. We're going to save inside the materials folder here. And we will call this Blaster 01. Go and save that. Now our image that we loaded here, I'm going to just vertical split this and go to shader view. We don't really want it to get the lighting of the scene. We just want to feed that EXR directly into the surface. The other thing that we know about this EXR sequence is that it is not linear sRGB. We know that it's ACES. So let's find our ACES here, and then we're just gonna go to ACES CG specifically. And so when we tag that, we can now see that the lighting is going to match more perfectly to our Nuke comp that we have here. In fact, actually, it should look one for one exactly the same. And now we have our blaster here, and all we have to do is line this up with our shot. And we're only using this for lighting reference, so don't get too caught up on the modeling aspect of this to make sure it's perfect. It just has to be roughly in the right area. We're using this as a projection method to project lighting into our scene that we don't otherwise have. So in our shot here, because we need at least the interior of this to look somewhat good, we're going to bevel the edges slightly here. And I think that's good. All we need now is taking this guy, going to project from view. The reason why we're going to project from view using the cylinder is that if I go to the material tab here and add new material and call this projection, we need a new image texture. And this image texture that we're going to load in is none other than that same visual effects plate. So we'll go back again, VFX plate. Find frame 1020. Actually, we don't even have to do it this way. We already have it loaded in. So we could go here and see frame 1020. Now if I plug this directly into our base color here, you'll notice that it gets super dark again, and that's okay. I'm going to shade this smooth, and finally, now that we have that, let's boost everything up. I'm wondering, let's see, let's plug this directly into the surface here. And then now on the interior of this, let's go ahead and add in a light. So I'm going to add in a little point light. And then this guy here, the only thing that's really important about him, let's see, let's delete that and turn on... let's grab a principled BSDF. And then make that completely black. I'm thinking... then this light on the inside here is now super important because we're going to be using that to project the rest of everything that's going on here. Now we could have faked this, but now you could see that we have like kind of like this 3D lighting going on. Hey Matthias, welcome into the chat. But now we have this 3D lighting by using this scene here, and we can change the amount of brightness by adjusting this guy. Thinking what we'll do is we know that we're going to want a more of a bluish color, so let's go that route. And then, of course, let's select the topology that we have here. I'm wondering, let's see, let's go to visibility. And if we turn off diffuse and glossy, transmission, volume, scatter, shadow, and camera, we only need... can we turn on just glossy or something like that? I'm thinking that would be the way I would do this. Hitting up the chat. Welcome in, Nathaniel. I do hit up the chat every now and then. I go, hey, what's up, chat? How's it going? And then that's basically that, because that's it. I'm thinking since it is one frame, I just wanted to test that out. I don't know that we actually need that. If we were tracking it, it might be a little bit different. But I'm just going to go into here, and then we're going to, on this one frame, find a nice blue that we want. And let's go ahead and just paint this guy in. So I'm just going to hand paint this with my mouse. And we're going to add in first the first pass of the color. And then I like to paint in a little bit of the interior as well. So let's see. First of which, let's get a darker kind of like teal going on here. And then I'm going to change the opacity here to like a 0.01. And we're just going to add in kind of this outer edge effect that we would have. Just going to play with the colors a little bit to get this kind of glow that's supposed to happen. I thought E was the shortcut for this. No, it's N. I'm getting Photoshop confused with my Nuke, guys. Then you started blasting. Don't do that, man. Don't do that. It's not a good idea. You're like, I'm going to hit up the chat, but then I started blasting. Let's do that. I'm just trying to smooth out that turn up there. Okay. And then let's see. Get that to be erased a little bit more there. And then honestly, let's go closer to like the whites. Who shot first, Han? I don't know, man. Depends on what version you watch, I suppose. Who do you think shot first? That's all that matters. It's subjective truth here, guys. Just keep realizing that let's see. Kind of a nice blend that's going on there. I'm going to change the opacity here. Is there any backstory to this shot? Probably. I think she's fighting some alien monster. She found the gun on the ground 5 seconds before this took place. And now she's blasting, dude. So a lot of this is paintwork is just really kind of like, I understand hand painting is not as ideal as like an automated answer, but sometimes just being a little bit more creative with your painting here can get you a pretty cool looking shot. Look at this. So now this comes on frame 20, and this is going to just be the leading up kind of effect before it turns off. To save ourselves time though, because we really need to do that, let's use a frame hold here, and we'll just do a merge node with that, like just a roto. And let's find ourselves this section here. I'm going to roto out the blaster itself, and then just using a blur node, that'll just help us out a little bit. But let's pre-mult that, and now that's going to give us just our blaster that we can comp over top of anything that we need. Actually, I'm going to start trying to have better cleanup management here. So let's use a matte, and then instead of that, let's do that, and then there we go. Same thing, right? Same diff. Now we can control the amount of blur right here. Reminds you of Fallout. Dude, I binged that whole show. I talked about it yesterday on a YouTube reel, or short. I binged that whole show in 2 days, which was really good. I enjoyed it. But you know me, I like to binge stuff. So here though, I'm going to add in another merge node, and we're just going to set the keyframe to true on 1020, and then we're going to turn it off. And then for this right here, that's fine. Well, let's see. We'll turn that off. Go to frame 1039, and that's over here. And then we're just going to have it turn back on. And I'm just going to have it turn off again. And off again. So now on frame 1039, let's go add a new transform node in here. Thinking we'll set this to a keyframe of zeros here on 1020. But then on 1039, I'm going to need to merge this over top of our original footage again. So let's see. We have frame 1039, and let's just add in our B group here. Like The Office, yeah, dude, I went through that whole thing in what, like a month? Was the most advanced VFX shot that you've done? I've done some de-aging stuff that was pretty advanced. You know, I think different things have different challenges to them. I'm not sure. I think, yeah, I would say the de-aging stuff was the most complicated stuff that I did. That's the stuff I did on Ted Lasso, actually, season 3. Where is her gun? There it is. It's like, I don't even know where her pistol hole is. Okay, so now if we do that, we're just going to mirror it and then align it over here with the blaster like that. So now just using that transform node, we can use that same paint effect that we did for both times. But I mean, you do different comp work that's like associated with like, you know, doing CG comp work. That stuff can be pretty complicated. I don't know that I ever look at VFX shots and are like, oh, this is the most complicated shot. You know, like that's not the reason I like VFX shots. It's because of how complicated they are. I usually will like it because of the amount of, like the effect that I was able to achieve with it or something like that. Just save this Nuke Indie file, which doesn't look like it did. What the heck happened there? Save comp. Is it frozen? I'm going to restart Nuke. It's not updating my name up here to the saved version of the VFX shot, which is interesting. One of my favorites that I've had for years was this VFX shot, actually. This was something I did for a friend for a commercial that he was shooting, and it was the first CG monster shot that I ever created myself, and I'm still very proud of it. You know, it's like when you do work and it holds up over time. That doesn't happen often, but when it does, it makes you feel good. Okay, so my idea with this was that she starts the blaster here and you see it for one frame before the actual effect kicks in, which will be on frame 1021. I'm almost wondering, I kind of like the idea also. Let's do this. We're going to take our footage here. We'll just move this up. There's two things that we need to do to it real quick. We're first going to denoise our footage. So let's just drop in a denoiser. And we'll denoise it pretty high. We'll regrain this later, so I'm not too concerned about it. But from the denoise, let's also add in a tracker. You've done some extreme roto work that I haven't. Roto a man in a reflective mirror. Oh, wow. That is... Dude, roto work is something else. I used to have to do a lot more of it. I mean, obviously nowadays we've got so much like AI stuff that can help us just roto things pretty easily. But I used to do all that stuff in Mocha, and man, I wasn't usually a fan of it. It's just one of those things that you had to do. Gonna track to end here. Oh wow, that wasn't even close. I'm trying to see, let's see, do we need that to be way bigger and then delete everything afterwards and then track again? That totally did not work. I mean, we can manually track this. I'm not opposed to that. Let's just make this a lot smaller here. And yeah, we'll just manually track it. I don't care. Yeah, those things can take forever. I mean, the problem that I always had with doing a lot of the roto work is that we don't bill for it usually. So a lot of the VFX shots that I was doing, it was like, oh, well, I basically have to do this for free with the roto. I mean, not for free. You're still getting paid, but like it's not like you actually had a budget for it. So you were trying to get it done as fast as possible because the budget was mostly for the comp work. That was back way before. Nowadays, we always bill for roto work, and we put that inside of our budget to make sure that shots can happen appropriately. But that was just like a whole extra thing. Then you're like manually creating your roto work inside of Mocha. And again, Mocha's really good, but that doesn't mean I want to spend my entire day in there. Oh, shoot. Roto's for some people. I don't enjoy it as much. Just manual keyframing this, guys. Who said that you ever needed to actually do non-manual keyframing? You could totally just do this all day long. Okay. It's pretty good. That's fine. Let's take a look at this transform node first. So, oh, let's close that. Frame 1020. Let's just take a look at that real quick. If we delete or close everything and just open up our transform node, I'm probably going to end up deleting this guy. Yeah, let's do that. Let's add in a new transform node, but this time we're going to set the keyframe to the center of the circle. So that's going to be frame 763. And then frame 625. And that'll just place it directly in the center. Now, if we want to flop things, it'll just flop on the center of where we're at. So for right now, I think we're totally fine with how this looks. Let's add in another track. We'll go select our tracker up here, and then we're going to just output a match move. So let's go ahead and create that real quick. And that's going to go below our transform because it'll flop first before it goes to the match move. And now, if we just check this back, we'll notice that disappears. But if we actually don't look at that merge node and we just follow this shot here, it should just move with the whole gun. And this will allow us to have it fade in, fade out a lot easier. That's why India is good to have roto. It's cheap. True. Yeah, I mean, we do all of our roto through basically outside vendors now, which makes me a lot happier because that's not something I necessarily want to do. I'm going to add in another merge node now. I deleted the other one. The reason why is because I want this to fade out. So I'm going to set this to like a keyframe of 1. And then here it can just be completely off. And then that's going to go all the way up to about here. And let's just say it's going to fade out. And then 1039, I think it should be back to full. And we'll just have it completely off. Set keyframe again, and then have it fade out. The idea here is that it's more like, I like that. That works fine. I like that. That works perfectly fine. Now, with that being said, though, we need to add in the actual blaster effect above it. Thinking the next layer in front of it is going to be kind of like a bit of a heat distortion. So let's go do that. I'm going to find from our link, again, links in the description here, guys. If you go to this link, it'll take you to a wish list, which will have the visual effects plate inside of it. And then, of course, we can get some of these other energy bursts and things like that. So I'm going to first create a kind of energy burst effect that's going to happen directly in front of her. Let's see. That's angled. Let's see, front. Find the most interesting looking one. I like this one. Energy burst front 3, guys. I'm just going to download that. Probably don't need it in 4K, but we'll just grab it in 4K. Oh, you know what? Screw it. Let's just grab it in 2K. I don't want to have to deal with slow caching times. Not for this stream. I'm going to save this to our materials folder. And then now if we drag this over into our comp, To be honest, we're going to just do something very similar to what we did a few weeks back. So output 709 here. First things first, we're going to offset this to work on the correct frame. So let's add in a time offset. And we're going to want this to at least be 1019, I'm thinking. And then we're going to want to have in an O-flow. I like using O-flows right now. We'll probably just make the O-flow speed of like 3. Let's try way higher, like a 6 maybe. That's pretty cool. I like that. So now we're going to take this O-flow and we need to comp it into our shot here. And let's see. If we look at our footage here on frame 1020, oh, right. And then, by the way, we're also going to want to add in a frame range, I think, to this thing. And then this is going to be set to 1000. So that way, if we remove this, this starts on 1021 like we wanted. But all of these blank frames are created before it. So that way it doesn't feel like we're rushing anything. Actually, and it should end on frame 1047. So let's just add that number in there as well. So starting on frame 1000, ending on frame 47. And this now is really good for us to comp into what we need. I'm going to add in a shuffle node now, and we're going to be shuffling in the values that we have here into its own separate layer. So go ahead and from our A input now, we're going to be taking the RGBA values, and we're going to then plug this directly into a new layer that we're going to create called distortion. Let's call it distortion. And we'll just do RGBA. That's totally fine. And then now, if we grab all of our RGBA from the A input here and drag that over, then we're going to have now a new layer called distortion. Now what this gets us is if we're looking at this now, we can actually just view our distortion effect that we have rather than having it as like a overlaid comp. So I'm going to, because of that, add in a transform node down here. We're going to want that to be lined up appropriately with where the gun is. So I'm just going to use a merge node to visualize this a little bit better. If we do that, we can grab our transform node here and we can place this where our gun is. So we're going to go to frame 1021 and we'll just place the explosion effect right where we want it. And we might even want this to happen a little bit faster later, but this will give us an idea of let's have it go a little bit faster. So on our O flow, we're going to want this to be, let's say, 12. Just twice as fast. Let's use our transform node here and then just place this a little more in front. Thinking we'll even want to rotate this around. Just feels more natural going that direction. Great. So now we have kind of this distortion effect that's happening here, but how do we use it? Let's go ahead and, since we already have this plugged in via our shuffle node here, we basically need to do the same thing we did a few weeks back on our Ghostbusters effect, which I believe we were just using an iDistort, if I remember correctly. And then from that iDistort, we could select the channel of what we want. So instead of using all, we're going to use our distortion channel. And then if we go to our And we're on frame 1021, which should have this explosion effect going on it. If I then start to mess around with some of these settings here, should distort our image. Maybe all and then select distortion on this. Yes, there we go. And then now, when we create our effect here, it's only going to be distorting the areas in which our distortion effect is happening. I'm going to blur this a bit as well. I also think it doesn't hurt us to blur our actual effect that we have going on here. And then now, the more we distort it, the more distortion we'll have on our effect. This can be pretty subtle because honestly, it's going to be behind all of these layers. But we are creating essentially this distortion effect that's going to be in front of this camera. Let's see. I don't think blur is necessarily what we want, but we can. Oh yeah, I think that looks good. I was going to do it through a separate blur node, but actually that looks pretty nice. Let's see the amount of distortion we want on this thing. Could probably lessen it. I think that's good. And we're not getting the color yet, but this is just the effect that we want to have underneath on the actual gun. Because if you don't have this, then people can look at it and it just doesn't look as real. So and then now we're going to use this same effect that we have here, but we're going to just time offset it because we want it to happen on frame 1039. So right now we have this time offset of 1019. We're just going to copy paste that. And then now we're going to place this on frame 1038, I think. Is probably the best way to do this. And then now maybe 37. Yeah, frame 1037 should be good. And now we're just going to copy paste our O flow. We're going to copy paste our frame range. And then honestly, we could copy paste our transform because we're just going to be moving everything slightly. And then also our blur node. But this is going to be comped on top of our other image. So don't worry too much about that right now. I'm just going to use a merge node. Again, we're just doing this to visualize where we're placing this thing. But if we grab our transform node now, we can actually just move him over to this area. I'm going to turn off the blur so that way we could see more of what we're doing here. And again, our O flow here should be starting on frame 1038. Need to go to the very beginning of it. And then our O flow, and then our frame range. And this should play it back here. Wait, what? What am I doing here? So at frame 1, then we need our time offset to be 1036. And so now it plays back. And then, oh right, our O flow, that's what I did wrong. Our O flow needs to be a new O flow because the frame range is different. But we can change the output speed here to be 12, just like the other one was. And then we've got our same frame range, transform, and merge node. So now it should just play back how the other one did. So I'm just going to use our transform here to place this directly in front. And it just feels like it needs to be rotated this way. Okay, cool. So now we will re-enable our blur here. And then actually we're going to keep this merge node, but we're just going to merge these two on top of each other. So if we go do that real quick, so we should be able to see the first one, and then we should see the second one. And I'm going to use a plus operator to be able to do that. So you're going to go from frame 1020, you're going to see that one, and then on these frames here, you're going to see the second explosion. And then now using our shuffle node, we're just going to be plugging that directly into our merge node. So that way everything is kind of happening before. Hey, Dark Team, welcome into the chat. We're just working on a sci-fi blaster effect. So far, just adding in some distortion effects. So now we have the initial glow with the distortion that's happening on top of it. And then the second distortion that's going to happen there. So boom, boom. And this is distorting that right there. You can really see that happening. I'm thinking we'll even want it to distort a little bit more. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. We're just going through this sci-fi VFX shot here, adding in a blaster. And then from here, we will probably add in some lens flares and some actual blaster effects and whatnot as well. I'm going to blur even a little bit more. Probably not too much. Don't want it to feel too artificial, but we definitely want to see it. That second one's really good. I'm thinking for the first one here, let's use a transform node here. If we go view this again, what do we have going on here? So that's not playing back anything, but yeah, if we go to the transform, the blur node, why am I not seeing? There it is. Oh, for some reason it wasn't updating fast enough. Maybe some cool blaster impacts that's flying towards here. Yes, that 100%. I think right now what I'm going to do though first is I'm not quite sure why this is frozen. Is it because of the O-flow thing? I swear the O-flow thing breaks the computer every time we use it. Oh no. Okay, we'll live with this because it is just the background of that effect. And then we will add in our blaster flying past the camera. Also thinking it might be fun to add in, let's see, let's go to add in a constant. One can hit the sign that's beside her. True. I mean, yeah, if we were to do some blaster hitting effects on it, yeah. Today we're not going to do that. She's mostly just going to be shooting off camera. But yeah, no, I mean, that totally would be a thing that we could do. I think there will be quite a bit of VFX shots that I've started that we can revisit, you know, in the future. But, you know, the problem that I have is that I only really have so much time to do these effects. While I wish I could spend a whole day working on this, I can't. So. Let's try this. Interestingly, we don't even have to have it that long. I just need the feathering here to be quite a bit. And then we'll pre-molt this. This is just going to have this effect here. Oh, right. And then we'll need this to be set to 2K 2048 by 1080. But now, if we merge this on top of this... Hello. What's going on here? Take this constant over here, and we can merge this effect over on top of it. And let's see. I'm going to probably want this to blur as well. And let's see. Do I not have... Oh, I see that is a... Gotcha. And then if we take this fun little thing to just make it a little bit more visible, let's just go ahead and add it on top of itself. Like so. And now with our roto here, we can have this just fade completely off. Which I think also we want that to fade a little bit more on the back side there. Make this overall smaller for the area in which the glow is emanating from. Oh, is this not... Wait, what is this? It is... Oh, wait, what? I'm so very confused. So that's blurring out there. I think we could have this one probably blurred to here. Is that what's going on? No. Okay, and then blur this whole thing a little bit more, and I think we're golden. So we're going to set that to like 200 or something like that. And this is just going to be a glow that we can comp into our shot. We're not necessarily going to over-embellish all that much. But now we can just lessen the amount of this right here, pretty simply. And now we can add it in according to our blaster effect that we do. So I'm going to set this as like a keyframe here, and then we have it go out. And then here, it's just like a much more exaggerated version of it. And then probably back out again. And then now, let's see if we play that back, what that looks like. Already just making it feel a little bit more full. And then we'll add the actual blaster effect in there, but this is just going to help light the environment. We're just layering things on top of each other as we're going here, guys. So now, again, we have our roto here. We can just move it around to the other area in which we want it. I'm thinking We'll probably want to set a keyframe here, something like right here potentially. So if we select our Bezier curve, we could just set a keyframe, and then that way it doesn't freak out. And then we're just moving everything over here by frame, let's say. Yeah, it starts here, so let's just select everything here and then just grab it, rotate it around. Repurpose. Repurpose what we've done before. Why redo what you've already done? And we only need it on this frame, so again, now we can go back to our merge node here. And the frame before it, we'll just keep it keyframe set to 0. But on frame 1039, you know, we can start to bring in some light a little bit more. And let's see, frame 1040, more so. And this is a darker part of the image, so it's definitely going to be a lot more visible. Then by 1042, we'll just be completely out. So again, it's just that kind of like keyframe up, keyframe down. And that's just that extra little bit of lighting that we're going to use on everything else here. Let's see, our blur right now is 200. If we set that to like a 400 even, I think that might look a little bit nicer. I'm going to set a keyframe for that because I like it on the first run, but not the second. So we'll just move that up slightly there. It's kind of like a sci-fi muzzle flash here, guys. Okay. Great. Then now the next layer on top of that's probably going to be some kind of sparks, I'm thinking. So let's go back to our wish list that we have here. We'll find these spark bursts. I think this looks like really nice and sci-fi sometimes. They're like sparks. It's very much like a Star Wars-esque type of thing. There's just sparks everywhere. I think it looks pretty cool. Let's use this spark burst here. So it's like as the guns are going, you know, you got like that kind of spark blast that's kind of happening. I don't want it to feel like it's hitting the ground too much because I think that just makes it feel more... It doesn't feel quite right. Like this one I like, but I think it hits the ground. That one's pretty cool. Let's use this one. Oh, do I not own these? I don't own the spark bursts? It's fine. Just go purchase them real quick. Off camera so you guys don't see my credit card information. But yeah, let's we're gonna grab some spark effects here. Let's see, I don't think there's anything else I need. I think I have all those. Okay. Okay, gotcha. Let's go to the downloads here. And then we will download some of these spark effects. So, let's see. We have these spark bursts that I was thinking of. So let's find which one did I like. That one's pretty cool. Oh, I like this one. Yeah, Spark Burst 18. So we're going to go ahead and download Spark Burst 18 here, and then we'll drag it into our comp. We're going to want to color grade this, of course. So that way it feels like it's coming from the same gun as everything else. So I'm just going to go ahead and change the output here to a 709. And then the next thing we're going to want is the time offset to be correct. So let's just really quickly change that to 1019 here. And if we go view this, it should give us our spark effect that we have. And now all we need to do is just adjust the grade. We could probably just grab the white point and then move it more yellowish to make it blue. We kind of want that blue kind of feel to this. You're right. Show the nodes. It's okay because I just started. I think if we go something a little bit more blue like that, I can get behind that. And then now if we comp that on top of everything else here. We're going to go to this frame, 1020. And then we will just merge this on top of it. So we're using like a transform node or something like that. We can get our effect. So let's see, 1019. We want it in by 1019. I'm thinking, or not 1019, by 1021 we kind of want it in by. There it is. And then if we just plus this on top of everything, does it give us more of a realistic kind of like reaction response? We want this sparks to make it feel more like it's coming from the gun here. And now we've got like this kind of like spark effect that's happening. Now you'll notice that it's not moving with the camera, which actually kind of is a problem on these specific VFX shots right here, because I feel like it does need to move with the camera. Luckily, the camera's not moving in 3D space, so all we have to do is track like a 2D area, and then we'll be able to do that. So I'm going to add in a new tracker node at the very top of our stack. And let's just find a spot that we can track in 2D. I'm thinking this dot right here is going to do us just nicely. It's in frame the entire time. It's high contrast and nothing crosses in front of it. That's pretty much all you want when you're trying to do a track, is basically that. And the reason why we're going to do this instead of a 3D camera track is because the camera's not moving in 3D space. It's just kind of staying in one spot. So if we go ahead and add in a new tracker node here, let's go ahead and let's go to frame 1021 because that's the frame we already have set as a keyframe. And then let's just set that as our main reference frame. Now, if I move this tracker node all the way down here, I might even just have to delete this tracker node. Sometimes it gets a little goofy with frame 1000. And then I'm going to just increase this reference track layer so that way it knows to look for more things a little bit easier. And then if we go back to the beginning of it, as long as I'm watching this, it looks like it locks on pretty cleanly. And we're just going to go to the end of the whole sequence here. Looks like we have a nice camera track. So now we can output a match move. And by the way, a nice easy way of knowing if you have a good track or not, this is just a test method, is go ahead and output a stabilization. And if you view your original footage stabilized, you should notice that nothing changes. Like you could zoom in, you should be able to zoom in here. And as long as everything kind of feels really locked, then you know you've got a good track. For us, we're not too concerned. They're sparks. It's okay if they float around all over the place. But as far as this is concerned, we'll go ahead and get rid of our stabilization now. And we have our spark effects all the way down here that we're going to want to move with our scene. So let's go to our tracker and then output a match move. hit create, and put that at the very bottom of that stack there. And now, if we play this back, our sparks should move with the camera. And we might want those to go a little bit faster rather than kind of just floating in the air for so long. Might even take this, and an easier method is before these transforms, we just add in a merge node. And by this frame, we want them completely gone. So we'll set that as a keyframe. And then maybe we'll have them kind of fade out. And then just completely off again. So now it's like the sparks are going to happen. Now, I think maybe we drag that out a little bit further. That might be a little too quick right now. Let's go to our... We can go to the dope sheet here and then just drag some of this out a little bit further. Yeah, that feels a lot better. So now it's like the sparks blast and then they kind of like pop off. We don't need to see them forever. Let's go ahead and save that. And then now, of course, on our next shot here, we need the same effect to happen. So we could pretty much take this whole thing and just duplicate it. Probably will actually, and then go delete this, which is reference the same frame. We don't need to have a whole different new footage for this. And then let's see, we take this guy and let's just merge it again to see where we want that. We're gonna have this come in on frame 1035 maybe. And of course, we're going to move our dope sheet here. And let's see. Now we adjust our frames here. So our sparks are for sure going off. And then let's grab this guy here and line that up a little bit better. We're going to add a glow into all of this here in a moment, but I wanted to make sure that we had that. So, great. I think that actually works. Let's play it back, see what it looks like. So we're missing our first spark effect that's going to happen, but yeah, I like that. That's pretty cool. Very old sci-fi. Let's use this same merge node here, and we're just going to merge these on top of each other. And then we'll use a plus operator for that. So we should be able to get both still. So that one and that one up there. So booyah, booyah. 2 explosions. And then now we'll just move this merge down. And so now we should have both of our spark blasts happen on this shot. So we got a boom. It's coming off a little bit purple. I might want to adjust that. There's a couple things that I'd like to maybe do here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we've got this guy here. Let's let's make some adjustments. I mean, right now, all we have is this guy kind of coming in and then just blasting really quickly. I think that there's a smarter way for us to attack maybe like the glow aspect of things. So if I go ahead and just add in a glow node here, we'll just go ahead and start glowing this before it comes back to comp on top of everything. With this glow, we can target like specific areas of the tolerance. I'm thinking that we'll probably just want like a pretty small amount of tolerance for this guy. And then the brightness could probably be set to half of what it currently is. Whoops, not 5, 0.5. Because essentially we want to have it to be less bright. But with that, probably bringing down the saturation. I think in Nuke comp sometimes, if you adjust the saturation, it can adjust the amount of intensity that something has. And then of course our size can just be a little bit larger than what it currently is set to. But this glow here, what I like to do, I do the same thing at Hugo's desk. They have this pretty cool method of basically just saying, okay, let's take the effect only here, and then we're going to just merge it on top of our previous frame here. And then we're going to use this as a plus. And what that does is it adds like a little bit of glow to the outside of our image here. And we can actually multiply these on top of each other. So if I add like another glow in, and then I do something very similar to like what I just did. So again, we're just going to set this to like, I don't know. Let's just set it to another 0.5. And then the brightness, again, we can maybe increase it slightly. I might even make this slightly less. And then the saturation here, let's go ahead and then adjust that to be something like also probably the same as brightness here. And then the size here can be a lot smaller. And we'll go ahead and make that effect only again. And you can kind of see the difference between how much we're affecting by that tolerance level. And then if we add in another merge node, we're just going to be plussing that back on top of our sequence here. So just use another plus. And again, you can see that kind of creating like that internal glow that's now happening on our sparks. And then now we kind of want to have like an overall massive glow that's happening. An easy way to do that I found is just adding in a blur node of like out of like a 500 or something like that. And then if we merge that back on top of it, this time we're going to use another plus. And this time the mix can be set to quite a bit less. So we're just going to probably have something like that. We can also decrease the amount of glow that each individual one has here. So like if I decrease that to like a 0.4 or something like that for this specific glow that's happening, we can actually adjust the amount of mix that each individual glow is kind of contributing to the overall effect. So now if we go back to our thing here, we can control the amount of glow that our entire image is kind of having through that. And let's see what that looks like. Again, this is coming off a little purple, so we might want to adjust that. And this is all going to basically run off of the sparks that we already have in our sequence. So that way we don't actually have to animate these things in. They're kind of just playing for us. And that should feel a lot more natural and feel less like it's just being stuck on there. I'm going to want the fade out on this second one here to be a little bit quicker. Let's bring that back one frame, and then let's see. 1, 2. That might be fine. It's still on there, but it's not living forever. Overall, I feel like I wish this was larger. Let's use like in a road here. Don't know if that really fixes our problem. So that's dilating this before it goes to the shuffle. Another thing we could do is maybe grade it up. Maybe take that out and then blur it. I'm thinking maybe we blur it and then I'll create less defined ridges. Yeah, it might work. Change the UV scaling here to be something way larger. That way it kind of warps it quite a bit. Yeah, it feels a lot better. I mean, it's something that we're barely seeing, but I think it's important to get that nailed down. So let's play this back now with that change. Yeah, okay. I'm thinking maybe less purple. Although purple looks pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie. We were kind of going blue, but like I actually really like this color. Maybe now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add in kind of the blaster that's gonna fly past the camera. We talked about which one we were going to use a little bit earlier. So again, by the way, for all you guys new here, if you click on this wish list down here, it will have all of the assets that I'm using, including the visual effects plate that I'm using as well. We're probably going to use some blaster now to comp over top of everything. We're going to want something that kind of goes towards the camera. They've got several different ones. I like that one. Feels a little like it's running. I like that one, but I'm probably going to speed it up a little bit. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like these. Yeah, let's use this one. So we'll go ahead and download this now. I'll place this inside of my VFX materials folder. And then we're going to definitely be speeding this up. But actually, it's really only going to be like 3 frames long. So it's not something to like... I don't even know. We might not even use the animation portion of this because I only want it to be like 3 frames long. But yeah, let's look at this real quick. So we have this frame here. We'll probably want. So let's use a frame hold on this frame. And then let's copy paste this frame hold to here. And let's go forward a little bit. Probably to there, and then we'll set that to that keyframe. And then again, another frame hold. And we can set that to that keyframe. So, whoops, let's reorganize this. I might even do one more, honestly. So let's just double click that and then a little bit off the frame here, and then we'll set that to a keyframe. So now we've got all of these keyframes that will be playing back, and let's see. The best way to do this is going to be setting this to a frame range of 1 to 1. I'm just going to copy paste this for all of these guys here. And then if we select these in order of the order that we want them to be, I just need to add in a, what is that called actually? I haven't used this node in forever, and I forget what it's called now. I literally just started to blank on it. It's the sequence, like you're creating like a... I know I'll recognize it once I see it. It's the image. It's definitely under merge. How did the frick... What's it called when you take all the image? Why am I blanking on this? Like, this is crazy. I use this all the time. I'm about to Google this because this is crazy. Yeah. I don't know why I can't remember what the frick the node's called. I don't want a merge node. I want a I don't want a merge node. What the heck? Oh, Jesus, guys. I'm spacing on the name here, and this is bad. It's definitely under probably time. Not frame range. Pen clips. Why could I not remember a pen clip? That's crazy. Okay, so here's the trick. You select all of the frame ranges in the order that you want them, and then you add in the append clip. I don't know why I couldn't remember what the freaking name was, but yeah, so now it's going to play back this as if it's like just a single image sequence of those freeze frames. And then we take this guy here, and then we're going to probably add in a motion blur effect, because we are taking the multiple different keyframes here and then kind of blurring them together. So now it's going to feel a little bit more like it's a single image sequence, but that's going to be at the speed that we definitely want it. We could also use Chronos, or we could use OFlow. You could use whatever you want to make that effect kind of happen. I find it a little bit easier, especially since we're only going to need this over the course of like a few frames, to get the frames that I specifically want it to look like and merge those back on top of it. So I'm going to take all of these guys here and then move them over to the left side of the window here. And we will comp that in on top of our frame. So the other thing is right now this is happening on frame 1. So we're going to want to use a time offset. Time offset. And let's see, where does she shoot the gun? Frame 1021. So let's set this to 1021 and see what that merge looks like. And let's use a merge node beforehand. So let's just go look at this real quick. So we've got time offset of 1021. I'm going to set the keyframe here. And let's set the keyframe here. So our motion blur now, though, it might be screwing up a little bit. So let's see. Let's add in some samples. We might go without the motion blur, honestly, if it's not going to... Yeah, let's go without the motion blur for right now, and then we can worry about that in a moment. But yeah, so this goes in, and then let's see, let's set another keyframe here, and then have it go out here. And now we just need to line this up with the rest of our image. So I'm going to use a corner pin because we're going to want this to go past the camera. And let's see, probably line that up a little bit like this. So that way we're going to get the perspective that we want. And I'll use a transform. Now that we've got the right angle, we just need it to basically just point the right direction. Okay, cool. This will have a lot of the same kind of effects that we did before with the glow and everything. It's mostly just let's see how that plays back. Sure, that's gonna be fine, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll add in all of our glow effects to basically this blaster to make it really shine and make it feel correct. Okay, great. Since we're going for more of a purple blaster effect, let's move all of this down. We're going to do a little bit of comping here. Let's add in a grade node real quick. And we're going to probably make it a little more purple. There it is. And yeah, that's going to kind of be more of that purple blaster effect that we have going on here. We can also use I tried messing around with the directional blur last time, and I didn't have quite as much success on it as I would have preferred. Let's see real quick. Let's add in a dot here just to make this a little bit more of a set piece that I can copy paste here. Which one is causing the weird crap to happen? I can add all that stuff in myself. And then now we'll take this, we'll add in a glow, and then we'll change the tolerance here again to be something pretty small. The brightness, we'll just half that, and then the saturation half that as well. And then the size here can be something that's a little bit, I mean, 15 is probably fine. I'm wondering if we do that, and then we just merge that back on top of our image here, and then we'll use a plus operator. Is the plus the thing that's screwing it up? Let's see, screen. Yeah, screen's fine. Let's use another glow here. All the way, let's make this effect only. And then this glow here, again, effect only. And then we will change the tolerance again to be about half or so. And then the brightness can be something 0.75, 0.75, just similar to what we had done before. Size here, again, will be something pretty small. And let's use a merge node again. And that's just going to be merged on top with another screen. uncheck effect only? Is that... I think that works. I'm just trying to find a good amount of glow that we're going to do to this thing. And then I'm going to use another blur node here. Probably something like 200. And then we can merge that back on top of the blur node. Actually, yeah, on top of it should be fine. Then lessen the amount of the glow here, but that's good. And then I didn't have much success with the directional blur last time that I used it, but let's see what I can do here. So directional, let's use blur. Just see blur. I want to have it blur in a streaking direction, but Oflow crashed on you for the 10th time. I like Oflow, but you're right. It is this kind of frustrating problem that it has. Let's put the blur center probably about here, and then the target about there, and then we'll put the blur length in. Let's see, the blur angle. Change this to 90 because we know it's exactly sideways. So now if we go back to our effect that we have here. Oh, right. Okay. So this is going to blur all channels, and I need to make sure that it is blurring the alpha channel. So the blur layer is going to be on RGBA. Yeah, there we go. So now it blurs everything. So when we merge that back on top, it's not losing its alpha. There we go. So that works. So let's play that back. Oflow, man. Can't live with it, can't live without it. And that motion blur really helps. Thinking the sparks we might want them in front, or let's see. Oh, you also did the shot. Welcome into the chat, by the way. Is it Push Praj? Would love to see it. Maybe share it on our Discord. We have a Discord link in the description. Probably going to grade this to be a little more purple as well. So let's just change the white point here to have that more purple glow. And then now, you can't post the link inside the live chat, no. But if you go to the Discord, you can upload the video directly to our Discord. And then, yeah, let's see. Feels a little more coherent, I think. That blaster's fast, too. Let's see. Okay, so now I have that guy in there. The directional blur like that. I'm probably going to lessen the amount of the blur length by half. And then our corner pin that we have here, let's just make it just go off camera because I don't like it going too fast. I want it for 4 frames, and we're not currently getting it for 4 frames, so let's take that, and then we'll take our transform node here and just line that up a little bit better with our blaster effect. Let's see, let's turn off that. So now that is our... Why is that taking 1 extra frame? I don't like how that takes 1 extra frame to start going. Let's see. Time offset needs to be by 1020. And then our... Yeah, boom. And then it starts to move. Then we're having some issues down here with the bottom of the light. Yeah, let's turn that back on. And let's see. Play that back again. Honestly, that's a lot nicer because we're getting that for that 1 extra frame now. I think that it was also a weird delay on that 1 frame. It was starting like a frame late, so I was just sitting there for a second. It's more like a pew, pew. I do my own sound effects, by the way, guys. Yeah, I'll check the Discord after I'm done streaming. I've only got so much time to do these streams, so I try to get as much done as possible within the 2 hours that I have. I'm going to make this a lot less. And then here it goes to full blast. Yeah. Okay, and then now we do this one over here. Looks a bit odd that sparks are coming out with no force at the end. I would agree. I think that I would agree. I might change the spark effect because I do have different sparks. I might swap it out to something that does feel like a little more forceful because I think that is something that has definitely bothered me. But we'll see in a second. I'm just mostly getting this blaster in there right now. So we can actually just copy paste the same blaster effect that we have and then just use it into the other area. That probably is going to be the easiest thing to do. So I'm going to use like a time offset just based off this corner pin that we have here. And then we can, let's say it goes from 1020 to, I need it to be like 15 frames longer. So if we go to frame 15 here, it's pretty dang close. Need it to be exactly 18 frames longer. And I actually might need it to be a little bit more. 19 frames. Great. And then now we'll use a transform here to flop the shot. And then we can comp that in appropriately. So next frame. And we will take this guy and merge him back with the rest of the group. So yeah, if we take this now and we merge this and then we say plus, that means we should get both blaster effects that are happening. Yep. And so now with this transform node, I can rotate things slightly. And adjust our merge over here. So let's see what that looks like. Great. So now we need to line that up. I'm going to turn off the particles for a moment. And let's just see how the blasters look just by themselves. We're going to have to fix some of this edge here, as I said. Meanwhile, I might go look at some different spark burst effects. They do kind of dissipate. I'm wondering... That one goes a little bit further. That one goes a little bit further. Yeah, let's go for that. Let's try to see what this looks like. Might need to rotate it a little bit, but I feel like this doesn't line up. I mean, it does. I also think that it needs to go faster on this particular one. So let's use a... Let's use an O-flow specifically on this guy. And we'll do... Let's go look at this real quick. We're using an O-flow, and then we'll do a frame range, and then we're going to set this to frame 1041. And we'll set that as a keyframe. This can be frame 1040. Let's try 42 on this. And then this one would be 43. And then here we have it even go more off. Yeah, it's fine. And then using that O-flow, let's see what that looks like. also need a merge node, of course, but yeah, we'll merge it, set the keyframe here to that, and then have it go to 0. I think it does go completely off, so we don't have to worry about the exit. But let's see what that looks like. It's funny, there's one more thing that we need to, it's the, well, we'll see. I kind of like the mixture of the blue with the purple. It makes it feel kind of very sci-fi. I think that blue light is very unjustified though, so we might want to adjust that. Yeah, that feels a lot better. This blue light is very unjustified, so let's go adjust our constant here to be a little more purple. And then our actual it's because of the corner pin. After the corner pin, it might do us a solid to just... No, definitely not. I want to, before the directional blur, we need to reformat this as our 2K DCP format that we're using. And then that lines everything back up. But what that will also allow us to see is kind of like this glowing mess that we have everywhere, which is not as good. So we need to clean that up. We're just going to use a merge node and then another roto node here. And this should get us to just select that. And if we set that to pre-molt and we add a blur node in, we can feather the edges of that a little bit better. That might work. And if we go back to our merge node, we shouldn't have any issues. Not at least with the bottom and the top. Okay, we are running out of time though, so let's see if we can fix the spark effect that's going on here, and then we have some clipping there. I might want to adjust that. So it's the starting frame clip. Let's go look at that real quick. So that's the first frame. So we know that we can delete this, for instance, and then have this line up here. That way we're not hitting that edge. I don't mind that it has that glow there, but at least now it's not creating like a hard edge. So now if we go back to our merge node at the bottom here, we're going to see that we don't have that clip anymore. And that'll fix it for both blaster shots, since we're using essentially the same effect, but just time offsetted and flopped. Yeah. So now we have our new sparks that we can drop into our sequence as well. And thinking even this might do us better to add in a little bit of exposure. I mean, it just was a bit dark before. And then this corner pin is a little wrong, so we'll fix that so that way it does go off camera. Just notice that. And that feels a little bit better there. Now our sparks that we have, let's see if we can just change this out. So I'm going to add in a dot. And let's see, we downloaded our new spark effect. We'll just drag that in. And we'll change the color space real quick to 709. And yeah. So this is the spark effect, our new spark effect. And this is our old spark effect. We kind of need these to line up, at least on the location, at least, that the sparks are emanating from. Then now, if we go to our gunshot, let's just resort this. I love that. I'm going to set some keyframes here, though. Where is this? Why is this not setting keyframes? What are we doing here? And then should be good. If we play this back now, it should just have the sparks. The problem is now we're definitely having the starting place of where the gun is a little bit longer. I might have it move with the camera. I think it would be better if it moved with the camera. So we're going to go ahead and set some keyframes here. So the initial blast is fine. And then I'm going to have it move up. Or is this not our spark effect? Oh, that's our second spark effect. So let's, okay, again, set the keyframe. And then as the camera or as the gun moves up, that's going to move up as well. Which actually, funny enough, that's also incorrect. And now let's align that up a little bit better. And the cherry on the top in some nice camera shake. Totally. It's the thing that I hate the most doing. Not a fan of adding camera shake. Or I'm not a fan of me adding camera shake. I don't like I suck at it. There's a science to it that in Nuke, I don't think I quite understand. I think this will work a lot better. Yeah, let's play this back now without the blaster effect. Great call on the sparks, by the way. Totally agree. Use Rebel Way camera shake. It's so natural looking. Oh, really? Okay. Is that like on Nukepedia, or is that like a paid plugin? That works a lot better. Now, with everything together, I think... You have 2 Nuke coursers. For, oh, is it? Okay, gotcha. I don't really know what Rebel Way is. Let's see. One thing I was thinking of is this blaster effect that we have happen here. I want this to happen after. Like, this should be the blaster effect. And then this should be the, muzzle flash. I'm going to say over, let's do a plus. And then this one up here could just be an over. Is that what I want? Or do I just want to take this guy and then say plus? Probably just that. Just for $1,200? Holy camole. Guys, my Patreon's way cheaper than that. Which, by the way, welcome back, Hasselhoff. It's been a minute. How has your studies been going? I imagine your guys' finals are coming up, right? Is it the end of the semester for university right now? Just going to cache this back and see what this looks like. Yeah. It all kind of works together a lot nicer now. And honestly, if we want to do the same effect, let's see, we could probably do it. It's just... The only unfortunate part is I'm running out of time. But the one effect I really want to add is the glow in her eyes. The same thing we did with the... Ghostbusters effect. So let's go ahead and add in a new tracker here. Gonna add a tracker in. Say transform set to current frame. Just add tracker. Hello there, semester has just started. In the end of it, I have to make a film group project. Pretty hyped to work on, but I still have no clue about the story. That's cool. Dude. That's awesome. I didn't go to university for VFX, so I always get excited when people get to work on like group projects like that. They do have a camera shake plugin. I actually think I'm using the Nukepedia one right now. Well, I'm not using it. I just didn't like it. Yeah, if we just track her eye the entire shot. She has very vibrant eyes. Holy cow. Okay. Now let's take this guy and we can match move it here in a second. But what I want to do is I want to take a merge node of all of our lighting effects that we're really doing, which is mostly our spark effect that we're doing here, plus our blaster effects that we're doing all the way down here. And I want to take this and merge them together into one kind of like video file, essentially. There we go. And if we take this whole thing and we just blur it all, what do we want to do with this? The problem is I need this guy here to set that keyframe, set that keyframe. Let's just say this is our eyeball. I'm going to go to our next effect here. Just set keyframes, set keyframe. And then our next time we see the blast go off, should be around here. Let's just move it over so it's centered on where the eye is going to be, because I want to have like this effect happen where we're using that section of the image to light everything. Okay. Now if I take this transform node here and we're going to just add this on top of everything. So let's go to the first time we see our keyframes. Let's see, it should be about here. We'll take this transform node, or actually we'll do another transform node, scale him down quite a bit. And we're just going to move this over in front of the eyes. We're just going to scale it a lot down. Like even more. Like really far down. Okay. Maybe even that's too much. Let's do 2. Okay, great. And then now we use a merge node and another transform. But this transform is going to move him over to here. This is going to be our eyes that we're doing here. We'll use an over, and I'm thinking we'll change this to plus and make this super slight in the eyes. Okay, great. And then now going back up to our very top here, we have our tracker. I'm just going to select that and then just change this to a match move, create. And if we move this all the way to the bottom of our VFX shot, should move with everything. The only thing is, let's go to our tracker real quick and say transform set to current frame 1023. So that way it's moving with where our current frame is. Now, we don't have to animate the eyes to come in or anything like that because we're using the pre-existing stuff already with inside of our comp here. We'll just watch that back. Should just work, honestly. But let's just see what this looks like. She doesn't shoot until the gun is all the way on the other side, so I don't have to worry about that. But I just had to get the tracking down when those flare would happen with inside of her iris. So yeah. So now you can see kind of like that light glow coming in on her eyes. Which makes it a little more realistic. Might have to adjust it slightly because it looks like it went off a little bit. We can fix that though. I mean, we just have a single transform that we honestly have to change for that. So let's play back the beginning of the shot here, just see what that looks like. Yeah, a little extra effect there I feel like really helps sell it. Honestly, pretty good. I'm not going to tweak it at all. We probably could tweak it if we wanted to, just to get a little extra, but I think for right now, I think that's good. So let's change this to like a 1.05 for the scaling of our shot here. And then, let's see, you're shooting and somebody shoots past you, you're going to go, like, you know, like type of thing. So let's set the keyframe here to... say set keyframe, and then the next shot here we will just move everything slightly. And we'll set the motion blur higher. Let's just play that back. We are definitely running out of time. It's already 10. This is my time to be wrapping up, but we're very close, guys. And bomb. That's pretty nice. It's very subtle, honestly. And I'm kind of a fan of that. So we'll go to this frame here. We'll set another keyframe. Well, this needs to be set here to a keyframe, and then we're just going to take our transform here and we'll just scale that like so. And then cache that back, and then I think that's the VFX shot. I mean, we have to reapply grain, but that could take like 2 seconds, so I'm not too concerned about that. Add in a grain real quick just to get that done. I'm not going to copy the exact same amount of grain. I kind of want to have more. I think it could look pretty cool with a lot of grain. And yeah, let's take this shot and then let's play it back. Oh, the worst part of this is caching. But alas, here we are. But yeah, if you guys want these project files, again, the link's in the description. Just scroll right on down. Join our Patreon. We've got a great community over there. I have been uploading some stuff that is Patreon only, so you're not going to see that on the YouTubes. So if you want to see some behind the scenes on like how we created some of the Bad Omen short film that I did last year, or different aspects of that, I am going into production here shortly in about a month on a new horror film. And so once that's done and out, I am planning, I'll see if I can get approval to do this, but I'm planning to show a lot of the prep work that we've been working on for the last month or so. Wow, that's pretty dope. I don't know that I like how fast the camera shake happens. Let's see. Let's make it at least 1 frame longer.
A little bit of correctiveness also on it. Never hurt. So let's play that back. And I think that's pretty close. I mean, the only other thing we could do is grade it, but I'm not going to grade it today. And I'll go ahead and render this out and then upload all this stuff as well. Great idea to change out the sparks, though, guys. Like, I was thinking about it, but I was like, oh, maybe not. I don't know. But this looks way better. All right, guys. What do you think? I think that nice little eye light also adds a little extra touch to it. But I think this is going to be our finished visual effects shot for today, guys. Hey, if you guys are new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We do weekly uploads on Tuesdays for visual effects shots, where we create a visual effects shot live. The only time that might change is next month. I don't know how my schedule is going to look yet. I might have to move it to a different day. But, and then also, of course, over the weekend, we do CG shots from scratch in Blender. So if you guys don't want to miss out on that, make sure to hit the subscribe button with the little bell notification thingy. I don't know why they make those two separate buttons, but go ahead and click those. And if you guys have your own artwork you'd like to share, please join our Discord. Link is in the description. It's free, and you can upload your stuff and get feedback from other great artists, and or you can help give feedback on other people's work. But I think this is the shot for today. Pretty happy with. Thank you, Hasselhoff. I think this is pretty much what I was setting out to do. I actually really like it. I always like to do these kind of sci-fi stuff because I don't get to work on sci-fi films, and then this is like a little extra funness that I get to do on my day. But thank you guys for joining today, and I will see you guys next time. I gotta get to work because I'm already 7 minutes late here. But you guys have a good one, and stay creating. And talk soon.